All right. Welcome, everyone. This is our Thursday morning production call. I am super excited about this one. Uh, Before we get into it, I love to talk about, just what to expect from the call. It is an hour-long call. It's a ton of information that we're going to give you, right? Like we always say, don't go out and change the way you do your entire business, right? We're going to give you a whole bunch of just great tips on, right? Our topic today is going to be rapport building and referrals. Right, they're called also ASRs. You'll hear that a lot, after sales referrals. But right, it's going to be a lot of information. We're not telling you to go change the way you do your appointment. Just take a lot of notes, right? You ain't going to remember everything we go over. Take some notes. Some of the things that you like, right? We always suggest take two or three things and then just go apply it to your business. Today's going to be really good because it's going to be easy to say, hey, you know what? These are some of the things we're not doing or I'm not doing, and just like I said, add a couple into your appointment, right? We're just trying to get a little bit better every single week. And then, right, we are a large organization in the Cook hierarchy. If anything helps you that you got from today, if y'all can post it in band, we humbly ask because it does help other agents, right? Go read that, and then they get to go apply it to their appointment so we can all learn together as an organization. Um, but let's get started again, right? Y'all want to write down the two topics we're going to do. It's going to be rapport building and referrals, right? Also known as ASRs, right? Which is after sales referrals. Write that those three letters down because you will hear it through a lot of Symmetry training, especially like when we go to right national conference, right? There's a lot of ASR classes and stuff like that. But we got a great lineup. I'm super excited, right? I was able to talk to. Right, I'm always trying to get better. So I actually booked some time with Mr. Edward Pritchett, and he gave me some great advice about my business and how to maximize profitability, right? And that was a conversation I was having with Edward. And one of the things he kind of made me analyze my business, and he's like, okay, well, right, we got lead investment, right, and it's blank a month, whatever it is for everyone, for you individually. And he's like, so how do you maximize that? Because my question to him was like, how do I consistently write so much business, right, and have time for everything else? He goes, well, sometimes it's not increasing, right, the either the activity, right, or the investment. Sometimes it's just being more profitable. And he goes, have you ever looked at how do you increase APV in your appointment? And then how can you increase helping more families without having to invest more in leads? And one of the biggest things that stood out, right, is referrals, right? We teach it, but hey, I reached out to like Xander and Elijah, right, some of our best producers, and I'm like, hey, are you any good at referrals? And I'm like, because I'm not, and I want to teach on it tomorrow. So I'm like, I'm not going to do very well, but I know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I ain't the best at it at all, right? Like if I get one or two referrals a month, if that. So I reached out. Good thing is we got a huge community in Symmetry. And I met this guy, Mr. Jesse, what was it, a couple of years ago at a national conference. And talk about just connecting with someone immediately. It was like we were friends forever. It was super cool meeting him. And right, if you're ever watching the national leaderboards, Jesse is an elite producer with Symmetry. He is, if you don't have him on social media, I highly suggest you go add him to your social media. This guy travels the world with Symmetry, and just some of the places he's been: Hawaii, Greece, Switzerland, Argentina, Uruguay, Banff, Cabo, Portugal, like all on carrier money, right? Like I say this all the time: if you are in the insurance industry, you should be traveling the world for free. So, Mr. Jesse, you want to unmute and right, introduce yourself, buddy, and thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Happy to have this time with you. And yeah, I echo the same sentiment, Joe. Like when I met you and the crew, it was kind of like one of those after the dance was over and the whole thing and conference has passed, and it was like one of those Sundays where everybody's going home and sharing a few stogies out with some of the great ones at Symmetry like Ryan Miller and good people. And then I realized, oh shoot, how the heck am I going to get to the airport? And Joe just gave me a ride to the airport and made sure not only that they dropped me off at my terminal first before the ride that he paid for, just so I could make my flight. And yeah, always grateful for that. But that's how we met. And yeah, ever since then, I've been grateful to be your friend.
I love it, dude. Just thanks for coming on. Right. Again, why we invited Jesse here is he is one of the best out there literally in the industry of getting referrals. We're also going to put a video in a little in the chat a little bit later on some of the stuff he's done with Symmetry. Last was it last year or the year before where you did the ASR training with everyone?
That was the year before.
The year before, and
1,200 people attended that breakout.
dude, it was huge, right? Like it's how you get profitable, right? Without having to invest more. And dude, you are the greatest at it, right? So he's going to have a whole bunch of nuggets for us. We're going to just kind of do a Q&A with him. And like always, right, feel free to unmute. This is very live, as long as it's topic related. And we're going to get into it. First, we're going to start a little bit on rapport. And Jesse, I've watched a ton of your videos in case you don't know when you were doing all that. And one of the things that stands out is the relationship you build with your clients, right? And a phrase I love to use, Jesse, to get us there is, right, do they remember you on the 15th? Because that's when the bill comes out, right? That's when the 150 comes out, the 200, the 300, depending on the policy size that you wrote. But this is not right. This is an emotional purchase, and it's not like buying a big screen TV and you're making payments on it, or a brand new car and you're making payments on it, and you wake up and you walk outside and you see the brand new vehicle, right? You see why you're making the payment, or you see your 85-inch TV in your living room and you're like, yeah, right, like you're okay with that $200 payment. Realize this is a piece of paper or an email sometimes now, and they're not going to remember, right? They're not going to see their bank statement and see the 150 draft and then go to the drawer, right, and pull out that policy and be like, okay, this is why I did it, right? They're going to think of you. And when you're building rapport, that's one of my biggest things I love to teach, right, is do they remember you, right? Because we don't sell products, right? We sell a solution, right? We literally ask them the questions to find out what's going to be best for them, right? Last week we did the class on pivot, right? The reason you have to be ready to pivot is, yes, you can plan and prep for the appointment, but it's all about listening to the client. And sometimes you have to pivot because based on what you have put together before the appointment, right, just because of their age, health, and the amount of the mortgage doesn't mean that was the best thing, right, or solution for them. You find that out in the appointment by asking questions and getting to know the family. And on rapport building, right, is do they know everything about you that you know about them, right? Like we teach, make them your best friend. And here's the thing, here's the hard part as an agent. You got 10 minutes. You got 10 minutes to make a best friend and find out everything you can and have that relationship. Because if you even think you're going to ask for a referral, right, like they better be super comfortable with you and know that you have their best interest in mind. Because if it's just like, hey, this is mortgage protection, it costs so much, great, 150 bucks. Oh, by the way, who can I call and give me some of their information so I can do the same thing? That's not good. They're not going to do that. Right. And again, right, I'll love to tell you, all right, the way we plan these production calls is stuff that we're struggling with. So I'm talking to myself here, right? Like, how can I build better rapport so that when I'm asking the referral, right, how do I get them? Because I struggle to get them, right? And so some of that we're going to go back and forth, Jesse, and it's going to be super cool because it's going to be like me learning from you, and all of us are going to learn together. Right, anything on the report, dude, I love it, right? Because you send us a picture of your dog, and if you watch any of his videos, his dog is like, I think he's the seller. He might be the elite producer, not you, Jesse.
You don't hurt, man. And I'll address that right away because I've been doing this for years and people are like, "Oh, it's just the dog, right?" The dog doesn't come out until later, right? Until I've already made the enrollment. But what I will be clear is that when I book an appointment, and this is the beginning of the process, right? When I book an appointment, I'm building a connection, I'm building the rapport. when I book the appointment. So I first I'm going to use the script. That's number one, because if you think you're too good for a script, or if you think you've been in this business long enough that you don't need a script, well, if you haven't had a rude awakening or a surprise from that yet, around that way of thought yet, you absolutely will, because even as an elite producer, you will bump into challenges by veering off what is the traditional way of doing things. So, like, first of all, if you think you're above using a script, I'll just share with you right there. That's the best script right there. It's taped to my wall. I don't really need to read it, but I have it there as a guide in front of me, and I'm 7 years at Symmetry now. And I do that strategically because I want to remind myself that I'm not too good for that. One of the reasons why I've hit troubles in my business over the years is because I veered away from that. So I just want to start with that.
Yeah,
So
so good.
so you're using a script, you're digging into their why, you're going to find out why we're booking quality appointments, and then more importantly, I'm building rapport while I'm booking the appointment. When I send an appointment, and I can share this with you, but to save time, I'll just tell you what it is. I say, hey, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Joan. I look forward to helping you and Jeffrey with whatever you need on Wednesday at 7:30, 5/22 at 7:30 p.m. Have a blessed evening. And then I send them my credentials, my digital business card, and then I follow it up with 4 pictures of me and my dog saying, this is me and my four-legged furry friend Moose. And 9 times out of 10, I get their favorite emoji back. I get pictures of their dogs back. I get pictures of their cats or their 3 dogs. And it's really just about being yourself and who we are becoming in the process of how we're doing it. So, like they say, all things matter. Yeah. The way you do one thing is the way you're going to do everything. So, if you're building that personability and the rapport from the onset of booking the appointment, you're going to have a more likely ratio of show, which I can show data to support that. And not only that, they're going to be nicer about it if they have to reschedule. Hey, so sorry, because they remember me. I'm not a faceless salesman selling Electrolux vacuums over here. Okay. They requested this. So if it's important to them, they'll be like, hey, so sorry. But they remember to reach out to me and let me know they can't make the appointment, and they'll ask to reschedule. I'll take that any day over a no show that doesn't answer.
Yeah.
So so like it starts with the rapport building from the beginning. I'm on the phone with them using the script, and I'm not making it weird. We're just having chill conversations.
And let me ask you this. So when you're sending right, the appointment reminder and your information all via text?
All via text. Yeah. And and so that means I'm sending them a message. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I'll share this with you. It's not a secret. I've been doing it for years, ever since we were virtual. And so, but I always send a picture of my dog. I think one time in the last 4 years, one time some old man said, why are you sending me a picture of your dog? And I canceled the appointment. I actually said I don't even feel comfortable running the appointment anymore. Now, you don't have to be like me, but if you're someone who finds that off-putting, I'm sorry, you're just I can't even, the whole point is to humanize the process, not to trigger resistance from somebody who just thinks you're some jerk salesman just trying to get their money for something you're selling. I differentiate myself by being human and humanizing it. And what the dog does, to answer your questions, he's a mini Bernedoodle. Mother's a 140-pound Bernese Mountain Dog. Father's a 20-pound poodle. You guys figure it out. Um, so no, it's artificially inseminated. There was no stool involved. But no step ladders. But like the dog just humanizes you, not only doesn't trigger resistance, but makes it more of a level playing field. And that's just the way I see it. Like it's never been an issue for me. And in fact, when people's dogs start barking on the appointments or over the phone, because I'm 100% over the phone now, 100% on the phone. All my appointments. It's just, oh, don't worry. Yeah, they're just dogs. It's just everything is casual.
That's so good, right? Because I was just talking to one of our agents the other day, right? Is being virtual now, we still have sometimes that feeling of I have to be so professional, right? Versus so real,
What's
right?
professional to you? Well, how do you, yeah,
Exactly,
how are you
right?
defining professional?
And it's a perspective, right? Because I remember, so we went virtual and I was working from my house, and dude, I found it so irritating that my kids would be knocking on the door, walking in my room, right? And I'd be like, get out of the room, right? Like I'm in an appointment, and right, I was struggling, and over the course of time, um, right, we would start seeing everyone post that they were right, and just Symmetry, right, had made the shift to virtual, and we were watching, right, moms with a baby in their hand running
Babies in the
appointments,
lap.
right, right, the dogs
Paige
coming in with the
Durgan,
keys.
Paige Durgan, right? I could go on and on.
And it was just
Roethlisberger's. Yeah.
yeah, right, like it was just super cool to look at, right, like it's usually us, right, that are feeling unprofessional, right, and it's a us feeling that we got to get rid of versus allowing them to see that we're a real person, right, because
I want to
we want to
address
build
that.
rapport on
I
that,
want to
right.
address that right away, actually. Does anybody on this call know what the highest vibrational frequency is? Does anybody know what the highest what emotion resonates the highest vibrational frequency possible?
Love.
Phoebe, Phoebe, you get a $20 Dunkin' Donuts gift today, Dunkin' Donuts card. Authenticity. Authenticity is the number one highest frequency known to man. It resonates. Being yourself is way more important than trying to act a certain way or fit a mold to what you think, right? Like this ain't your grandfather's life insurance. It's just this is not what it used to be. It's not some old man trying to be like, let me take you in a suit and tie that's two sizes too big, that's saying, let me take you and your wife to lunch. I just want to talk. That's not our position, guys. That's not what we do. We
That's
attract what is for us. And that's why I can choose who I want to do business with. I don't need to do business with somebody. Now, when you're new, you want to get all the appointments and all the at bats you can. But when you can be and have the power of being selective of who you want to do business with, that's power, right?
uh,
There's power in being selective. And when you're authentic, they will come to you. I do not fight with people. I do not argue. I do not bother them if they no show. And then I send a text message after their no show. Hey, have you given up on getting insurance? Before I close your file out, have you given up on getting insurance? They will, in fact, tell you the absolute truth. If they ignore you, they were never going to get it. And if they do, they'll be, hey, I'm so sorry, something was going on. The whole point is we don't want to trigger resistance. But if you are authentic, you will never repel somebody by being yourself. What I will suggest is that by trying to fit a mold and act of what you consider professional will lead to your demise. Because when you're not in your genuine heart center, right? When you're not in your heart center, you're not operating out of the tenets that are going to be required for your personality to be able to get referrals. And that is love, trust, and respect, right?
That's so good. And you know, like one of the things so we run 100% Zoom appointments, right? The majority of us. And one of my biggest things was, right, like you don't need a filter, right? Like you don't need a fake background. Like be yourself. Let them see who you are, where you're at, because you know, as we transitioned and also started travel, right, we would see our producers go out and travel. And I used to try to go hide in a little corner, right, so that they can just see like they love, like we just did the trip to where were we, down in Mexico in Tamarindo, right, dude, I wrote 10 grand on the balcony of the beach, right, like so that they could see that, and they absolutely loved it, Jesse. They're like, you're taking time. I'm like, this is what I do. I get to travel, I get to have a background like this. They're like, this is amazing, right? And dude, they were, some of them had to like reschedule for later that day, but they were all for it. It was super cool. And so like now with my kids, I embrace it, right? I even anticipated. I was telling Mickey, right, with that we were once talking about, right, our kids and stuff, and it's hard, right? Like right now with graduation, so they're back and forth, and so right now we're like at the hardest stage of our kid. We got 4 kids, two 12-year-olds, a 10 and a 6, and we're at the hardest transition right now because they're in 3 different schools. So my wife spends about an hour and a half as Uber every single day, twice a day. right? Because she's trying to get them back and forth. Sometimes, like yesterday, times collide because right now it's the last, right? They're getting out early and I have to go pick them up, right? At certain times or whatever it may be. But now I embrace it. Like I'll hear my office door opening and I'm already anticipating with my client Jesse, right, that my kid's about to, because my kids are not going to stay in the other room still hearing me run an appointment. They're going to come and try to test that, right? But now I embrace the crap out of it, and holy cow, how it works, Jesse. They get so I yesterday I anticipated my 6-year-old coming in because sure enough, I heard the door. He's not gonna. He knows Dad's in the room, even though he knows I'm running an appointment. That used to frustrate me so much, and now I just embrace it because now I anticipated and leveraged it. So as I heard the door, I knew he was coming, and I'm in the appointment. The cool part is I share everything with my client. They already knew I had kids, right? They already knew they were in school and everything, and I'm like, oh. Speaking of my 6-year-old, I think he just got dropped off from karate. I go, don't be surprised if he shows up. And sure enough, he shows up, right? And he's got a little white belt on, right? And the couple just absolutely ate it up, right? They're like, oh my God, Joe, like this is super cool for you to be able to do that. That's your little kid, right? And just come, I mean, talk about rapport just shot through the roof because they know I'm a real person and I'm not afraid to, right? I'm not trying to hide it anymore because I used to, right? And again, it was just a me feeling, Jesse, right? Like I was like, I'm supposed to be a professional, right? And I can't have no noises and no interruptions. And Mickey, I said this to you yesterday, and it even surprised me how good it sounded because you like that? Because we excuse our clients and we respect them so much that when their kids interrupt them, when their dogs start barking, when their parents or whatever, or somebody knocks on the door and they have to get up, we're like, oh, no, no, absolutely. Take your time. Don't worry. Right?
Yeah.
Why would we not expect that back?
And listen, man, I'm from New York, so I'm gonna tell you, like, I'll keep it a buck with you. I'm always gonna keep it 100, right? And like, it's the realness. It's, hey, I wish I had, if I could borrow your kids anytime when I run appointments, let me know. That'd be useful. No, um, you know, shoot, man, if God blessed me with children already, I'd be sending a photo of my family instead of just me and my dog. It's just where I'm at right now, right? So
Yeah.
like, yeah, I would be leveraging that. And it's not to it's not to try and forward your position in the sale. It's just being real. It's just being real. And going back to uh, with authenticity, when you're operating out of, and this is what I've been saying from day one, right? Like love, trust, respect. That's what's going to get you referrals. By operating out of these tenants, when they feel the genuine connection because you're actually concerned for them, not going into the appointment with an outcome or a desired outcome. Like it's a total detachment from the sale. Like it's a total detachment. And that's going to be hard for a lot of you because sometimes we're really waiting on that next appointment, we need an enrollment. Otherwise, they're going to shut the lights off next week. And like I've been there. And for any of you who don't, let me be very clear with you. I've been there many times. I've sold everything I've owned. I've sold my Breitlings. I've sold watches. I've sold gold jewelry and diamonds, things that I really valued and liked, just to be able to buy leads to stick around for longer because I was down. So, like, and I have no problem being real with you, right? Like to share that because it's just where I was. It's not who I am. It's where I was at the time. So, like, when you're being authentic, they're going to receive that. And the opportunities that come from that are boundless because one sale, I don't care about that sale. I don't care about that enrollment. Anything can happen with that. But when I take care of their brother, their cousin, and their neighbor, and then start extending from there, that's when really this business starts to get fun because when you're operating, and I can't say it enough, just out of love, trust, and respect. That's how this whole campaign, that's how I created this whole campaign, this whole movement. Like, I just want to be very clear. I did not invent referrals, not even close. I did not invent after sale referrals. I didn't invent the process. I didn't invent anything. I just came up with language and verbiage that worked for me and then used it and systematized it so that other people can do it. right? And Symmetry really took a holding to that. It took a liking to that because it helped other people who just didn't have the tenacity to just ask, or the confidence to just ask the question. Because like you said, Joe, they were dealing with the problems inside. Oh, I don't feel that's professional. Oh, I'm going to ruin the sale. Oh, I'm asking for too much. These are all things that we tell ourselves that are not in actuality. They're not in reality. They're not part of it. They're just all built in our mind. Like it's all between the 6 inches between your ears. It's all the
I love that, dude. One of the biggest things I say when anyone calls and gets coached, dude, they if you're starting your sentence with "I feel," I'm like, let me tell you, when you start a sentence with "I feel," about 99% of that is probably just all made up in your own head.
garbage.
Like when you call me and say, hey, I'm having trouble, right? Like with leads or a flow or anything like that, that's real things we can deal with, right? But when you say I feel, right, or I think this is right with the client, I'm like, it's all made up in your head. You can't tell. First of all, it's literally impossible, Jesse, to tell me what someone else thinks, right? Like you that's the one thing we don't know no matter what, right? And usually it's just feelings that we create in our own head, right? That stop us from doing the right thing, right? Because man, we watch some of the biggest applications and some of the right, like largest months we watch agents have is when they hit that little pipeline of a family that they build so much trust with, right? And I think Monica Howard posted this right on here in the chat, right? Like she hit her 90% slingshot because she found a family that was just like, hey, I need you to help my sister. I need you to help this person. I need you to help this person, right? Like that's what we do. And when you hit that spot, right, like, and I love how you say it, right? Like, I'm no longer trying or forcing to make a sell, right? Like, I just want to I'm excited about getting to sit with the family and see how I can provide a solution. Not everyone's a solution, right? Like, I'm not going to help every single family, but I am going to be the best version of myself to see if I could help them or to see if what I do for a living can help them
Proof,
because
proof in the pudding is I've made referrals. I've gotten referrals from no sales. Present, tell the family genuinely, honestly, hey, you know what? If you were my parents, I just the same way I would tell you if you were my parents, you guys are very well covered. Like this would be more of a luxury than a necessity. I honestly don't think this is a necessity unless you want to spend money on this. I think you should spend it on your grandkids and enjoy your life. You're
love
very well covered. If this is what would happen if X happens, this is what would happen if Y dies first. You're covered both ways, in my opinion. You need this. I've gained even more trust and made some of the biggest sales because he's like, my son just got married and I need him to deal with a respectable person that's honest. To call my son, signed up his son,
it.
then it just spreads. And that was from a no sale. So the proof in that is that even if you can't help one family, it doesn't mean you can't help their spheres of influence.
That's so good. That's so good. I think we got two hands up. Michael, you had yours up first.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Joe. Jesse, so good to be with you and to hear what you're sharing. But a few minutes ago, you said, I do 100% of my calls you do by phone. Does that mean you don't use Zoom when you're doing your presentations?
Yeah, let's get into that. It's a very simple answer,
Thank
actually.
you.
I used to be in person. So for 8 years before COVID, at my practice company and here at Symmetry, for 8 years, I drove to people's homes. And living in New York, we don't do business in New York. So I actually bought all my leads for 5 years at Symmetry in New Jersey, and I would drive from Brooklyn to New Jersey, and I would drive 2 or 3 hours each way, sometimes sleep in a hotel on Monday night with three other guys that were starting the deal together. Okay. And whoever got the least amount of production the week before got the floor. Whoever got the most got the bed of their
I love
choice.
that.
Whoever got the second most production got to choose between the floor or the couch. What do you want? You want the air mattress or the couch? You get to choose. It was your choice, right? So like I went from being in person and seeing the telescoping evolution of the nature of the way sales are done. Then COVID hit. We had the itty bitty COVID committee, and everything just halted. And everybody in the business was like, oh, I guess I'll just take this month off until this corona flu thing is over, this beer virus or corona or whatever it's called, and I'm just going to take the next month off and yeah, 2 weeks to slow the spread and I'll get back to business next month. And April of 2020, I went 100% virtual, all Zoom, 100% Zoom meetings. And that was the biggest month I ever had in my career. So switching to Zoom, I did $61,000 in April of 2020. And that
Damn.
was the first month ever. Before that, my biggest month at Symmetry was 15 grand. That was like my biggest month ever. And I never even net placed anywhere near all of that. Okay. So that was the time frame of that. Then I was doing only Zoom appointments, and I had it in my mind, and this is just a me thought, right? This was just in my mind that if you're not willing to get on Zoom with me, this isn't serious to you. And I didn't say it this way, but I would encourage them to get on Zoom with me, even 84-year-old ladies that were old widows that had no idea how to use the computer. I got them to download Zoom and jump on with me. And if we couldn't figure it out, we would pivot to FaceTime or something. Okay. But I mean, literally, I was running appointments in Spanish on Instagram video because we couldn't figure out how to use Zoom for a Salvadorian family. And I'm using Instagram video chat. So I was always willing to do whatever it took. In fact, when they said you don't have to drive 3 hours each way and sleep in hotels in the rain and the sleet and the snow, I was like, really? I don't have to drive to their house and get told that their husband's still at work and then drive that an hour to my next appointment in the snow and get rear-ended and a fender bender and then get stuck and then another hour to the next appointment and get 7 no-shows in a row just to maybe get a sale at the end of the day. The times have changed, right? So that's how I started in this industry. For 8 years, I went to people's homes and it was still profitable and we still made a living. Then transitioned to Zoom, and I was under the belief that if they wouldn't get on Zoom with me, this wasn't important to them. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I missing out. I'm now 100%. I don't like to make absolute statements, Joe, but this is an absolute fact. I am 100% on the phone only for well over a year now. And I only run phone appointments, even when I tell them we can't, even when they say, oh, do you want to jump on Zoom? I'm like, it's people appreciate I explain things very clearly and concisely. You don't have to get all dressed up for me, right?
Oh,
Like it's just very simple. Now it's all on the phone, and there's I've worked a lot on this, but there is very rarely a sit that I'll be on that is not an enrollment. Very rarely.
But Jesse, you're saying that's what worked for you. That's not your advice to us, is to go on the phone. You're just saying, if I follow you're saying, be authentic. And if we're working and Zoom's working for us, stay working on Zoom.
You nailed it. That's exactly
Right?
what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
saying do what works for you, because Zoom worked for me, phone worked for me, in person worked for me. It's whatever works for you. There are some people, Zachary Antonucci is a new agent in the Delaney agency. He's driving to people's houses right now. 20-year-old kid driving to people, 21 years old driving to people's houses. God bless him. He wants to be authentic, and you see that. So it's working for him. Whatever modality you want to meet people, man, if you want to send a freaking carrier pigeon, go ahead, as long as it's working for you.
let's get one. Chris, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I almost want to dovetail on to what Michael just said, though, too. I guess the question I've got is, as a best practice, what do you think about asking the client, what is your preferred mean of communication, as opposed to just assuming telephone or Zoom? Let them call that first shot to maybe build rapport with them and maybe make them feel more comfortable. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a great thought. You're also giving away all of your power. Do you want to be in control of the meeting, or do you want them to be in control of you? Because that's a great way to book a lot of appointments and make no enrollments.
That's so good, right? What I love to teach, right, is look, run Zoom appointments, get great at that, right? And Jesse, you just said it, right? Like you went Zoom 60 something grand, right? Once you can write at that level, right? Like if y'all remember the 10 steps, right, to having the highest close rate, knock out those 10 steps. Once you're what I love to tell an agent, go out and learn to issue 15 grand every single month. Then make it your own, right? But before you try to make it your own, follow the system to a T, right? As you learn everything by heart and you get comfortable, then right start adapting more of right how you want to run an appointment. But especially as a new agent, and if you have never issued right 15 grand every single month, right, or consistently, stick to the system as close as you can, and then right start again, right, once you know you can make that kind of income, right, start running it the way you want. But just new agents have a hard time starting. Hey, this is what I don't know, or better yet, you don't know what you're comfortable with yet, right? So follow the system, and then you can adopt.
I think it's important to address that because it sounds like, and I'm not don't take this. I hope you're open. Are you open to Chris? Open to suggestion here?
Absolutely.
If that's the way you're treating things, and if you're offering the different modalities of communication, and you're just always throwing everything in their court, it sounds like there's, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like there's a deeper issue there, like you're giving them too many choices, you're putting them in the driver's seat, and
Not at all.
just hope it's not
Not at all.
affecting other things. Yeah, because
No.
when we don't ask our clients how much do you want to spend on insurance, we do a financial fire drill, and then we give them two options and say which one is better, right? We don't like be like, hey, so do you guys want term or whole life? We don't ask them that and leave it up to them. We recommend what's best based on your consultative nature, based on what you've gathered and learned about them. So as long as it's not affecting you in other ways, because giving them too many choices is not good. It's just a great recipe to get no-showed, or for them not to see you as the professional, because everything I'm doing, every single move I'm making, I'm posturing myself as the professional. So if they ask me a question, sometimes instead of answering, I'll be like, oh, it's a great question. I'll ask it right back to them. I'm keeping the power all the time while being respectful. So
Wow.
it's just important to know.
Love it. And then looks like we got Xander and Daniel. We'll go quick because I want to make sure we dig into asking the questions. And
Yeah, I want to go over how we're actually asking,
Yep.
when the appropriate time is, what we're saying, and then to wrap it up, I'll also send you the scripts, Joe, so you could disseminate them to your team if you don't have them already, of
Sweet.
exactly what to say when calling an after-sale
Love
referral
it.
who's not expecting your call and who maybe didn't, even though the guy promised, they didn't tell their.
Oh, good.
What do you say
Xander.
in those situations?
Well, maybe this will lead into that well, because I've had I mean, for starters, I think you hit the nail on the head. Whenever I tell someone that they don't need it, it just, you can feel how much trust that builds. I've had them say, "Hey, I love talking to somebody who's honest, and like I would like for you to talk to X, Y, and Z. I'm going to give them your information, and they'll reach out to you." I get a bajillion spam calls a day. Like, what do you that actually, I'll reach out to them, give me
I
their
know
info.
exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Response to that is, you know what? I've been doing this a long time. They're never going to call me, even if it is a priority, because life just happens. They got
Yeah.
kids, they got gymnastics, they got football, they got everything going on. Give me their number. You just have to immediately Uno reverse them. Yeah, I'm going to give out your number. That's great, Xander. And you should give him my number so he can recognize it when I call him. But I'm going to ask, what's his number? And if you guys are all on Zoom, this is great, because this is how I built the process. I would ask for the referral and I'd put a pen in my hand and I'd look down and I'd say, what was his number? And I'd keep my head down until they give it to me. I don't care how uncomfortable, awkward, or long it takes.
Yeah.
So you're actually bringing me back to that. So if you guys are running Zoom appointments, I'm literally like, yeah, so who's the first person, that friend that you just mentioned that you're going to give him my number? He'll be the first person. What is John's phone number so that I can call him and I know exactly what to say. If he's interested, he'll book an appointment with me. If not, he'll just be very grateful you referred him. And then I look down and I do not lift my head until he starts saying the phone number.
That's
Even
so
if he
good.
goes, oh, I'd rather talk to him first. I keep my head down. It's the will, right? It's
Right.
your will. And I keep my head down and I go, that's great. I still need to get his number so it's easier to communicate with him. Like whatever it is. Oh, like, hey, I'm not a telemarketer. I don't want to be treated like one either. You're going to give him my phone number, but I'm going to give him a call so I could actually be available and give him dedicated time. If he wants to book a meeting, I'll treat him with the same respect and courtesy I have with you and Jan. If he's not interested, at least he's going to call you and let you know, thank you for referring me. What was that number again?
Beautiful.
I keep my head down and I do not look up until they give me the number.
Yeah.
That's
I
so
love
good.
that.
Period.
Thank you.
Period.
Pin out, head down. Like Daniel, you had a question? Oh, we can't hear you.
That's all right. Let's move it right along.
Hey, Joe, I didn't have a question, but I just want to say, Jesse, I love your energy. You're from New York. You talk with your hands. How in the world did you go from Zoom to phone? It's not really a question, but I've seen your videos. You're animated, so it's crazy to me to think that you went 100% phone.
Excellent question. It's because it's not about me. I ain't the magic, Gabriel. I am not the magic. There is nothing inherently special about Jesse Backrack. Okay, let me be very clear. There is nothing particularly special about me. I have my own skills, my own talents, communicative abilities. Okay, you do not. And I want to address this even right before we get into this process, and we got to do it quick. But like I want to address this. Like when when we're I had to audit my I had to audit my own presentation. I also hit lulls, okay, in my career and my business. I've been on top, I've been a lead producer, I've hit $87,000 in a month is the biggest month I've ever had at Symmetry. And like, then I've had terrible months, I've had negative months, right? So I had to audit my process. And one of the things that is the most important thing for every single one of you on this call that you're going to have to figure out is what is the actual truth. I love Jordan Peterson, clinical psychologist who became very famous because he says you need to sit on the edge of your bed one night and or every night until you figure it out and just ask yourself, what is one thing that I know I could do that I just if I would do it, my life would be better, that I just won't do, but what is that one thing? And you're not going to like the answer. You're not going to like it. It's because it's going to mean divorcing your old self from it. So, first of all, you're going to have to audit your own process of how you do things. So, first of all, I had to, and the process of that is examining what is the truth? What is the goddamn truth? What is actually true and what is in my mind? What is my opinion and what is fact? And if you're really being honest with yourself, there will always be things that you can improve upon. And in the past, I've tended to even be quite transactional with people. It was like, all right, are we doing this or not? And like, and I will admit that because I was all about the money. I got into this business for the money, and there's nothing wrong with that to be money motivated. But what ends up happening is your process, you learn how to be about the process. It's about helping people, it's about servitude, it's about serving others. And then it becomes less about yourself. You could be more detached from the sale. What I've learned is that people that need this, they're going to get it no matter what. Have you ever met someone that wanted something and just like, they were determined to get it and they didn't? I haven't. Anyone who was determined to get anything. And that's the beauty of what we do. We're not selling vacuum cleaners, we're selling peace of mind, legacy. Okay. So people that spend money on our products and services are spending money on something that they will never, ever in their lifetime see the benefit from. They're doing it solely as an act of love. So think about that when you're approaching your next family. They're literally doing this as an act of love, not so that their family doesn't think they're a scumbag if they die without leaving them anything. They're not motivated by that. Trust me, I've seen many people that told me I don't give a shit what happens after I die. A lot of people told me that. Let them figure it out. People that want this will get it. It doesn't matter whether you're offering it through Zoom, in person, or sending smoke signals. People that want something will get it. If you can't help them, they'll find it somewhere else. Okay. So it's about examining your process. And my process had needed some work. And what I realized was the way I was doing things not only wasn't duplicatable or replicatable, I could get outstanding results sometimes, but like it wasn't exactly duplicatable. It was just me. And I would be on the fly and I didn't have a script. That's why I'm 7 years in the company and my best script is right in front of me because I realize that I am not above the process. An elite producer or not, that is only a title that was earned back in the day that is no bearing on what I do today. So I don't even like that title because it's not reflecting what I'm doing today unless I'm validating that all the time, right? So I needed to audit my process. And what I needed to do was examine the truth. And sometimes that's very painful. Very, very quickly, it's important to note there is what stood out to me the most and what inspired me to go through a dramatic change and completely revamp not only my entire presentation but my script and everything that I do, my entire process. I squashed it, struck it from the record, and completely started from scratch. And the reason I did that is because I was so inspired by this story of like what the American bald eagle has to do. The American bald eagle can live 70 to 80 years roughly, but some point in their life at around 38 years of age or 40 years of age, and it just so happens I turned 38 exactly a month ago. So I was kind of inspired by this, that the bald eagle has to go through what's called a rebirth process. And maybe you all need something similar. The bald eagle has to do is they have to go somewhere in seclusion way up in the mountains so that they're not prey to anybody else, because over time, over 40 years of life, their wings become very heavy and brittle. Their beak is not sharp anymore. It's not razor sharp. Their claws are barely useless. They can't catch anything. So they either have to choose to lay down and die, and they will die, or go through one of the most extremely painful and self-inflicted rebirthing processes that Mother Nature has ever taken witness to. Okay? And that process looks like this. They have to fly to the top of a mountain in seclusion, and then they have to rip every single one of their feathers out one by one from the root and tear it out of their skin. Every single one. Then they have to tear their own claws out. They have 10. They have to pull each one of their claws out, excruciatingly, bleeding out. They have to rip their claws out, and then they have to smash their beak repeatedly on a rock until it falls off of their face and they have no beak. And then they have to sit there for 150 days, completely vulnerable, going through a rebirthing process. And on the other side of that process, they build their wings back just as though they were young, except now they have all the experience of their lifetime. They have fresh wings. They grow back their beak, razor sharp talons, and they're top elite predators, and they go on to live another 40 years. But they have to make the decision of whether they're going to die or go through a rebirth process. I decided that's not for me. That's not how I play.
Jesse, and that just reminds me of a saying, because we've heard that one, and it was I just heard it not too long ago, but it's what are you choosing to pretend you don't know that you do know, right? And that's the real question, right? Of, hey, can I really get good at this, right? I love that sitting at night, right, and just thinking of what if I really did something right, how do I win here, right? And in production, right, is what are you pretending you don't know, right? That you do know, right? But you're choosing not to do it. And so a saying we have, Jesse, is right, like at the end of a coaching session, right? At the end, we just end up saying, and really, Jesse, I mean, you know what to do, right? Because the ongoing joke is we know what to do. We just choose not to, or choose or pretend we don't know it. But let's get into some of your ASR stuff, dude. Take it away, right? We've ran the appointment.
Yeah.
And where are you taking it from there, right? Whether if we wrote somebody.
After you've made the sale, and this is great for Zoom, especially after you've made the enrollment and you help someone, and Gabriel, just to close the loop on that, it doesn't matter what modality you're using, by the way, and I really appreciate that question. You just have to know what works for you. And what I realized was that I was not the magic. That was the end of it. I was not the magic. The process is the magic, and I just need to be better steward of that process. So I hope that was helpful. So we're at the point of how we ask. So Tabitha, thank you for being so honest that you're afraid to ask. That exists only in your mind. And Tabitha, I want to encourage you that it sometimes is a fool or people that say, oh, I don't want to feel foolish. I don't want to feel silly. I don't want to have egg on my face. I don't want to be like, oh, I messed that one up. I really bungled that one. We hate feeling foolish. But what I would argue, Tabitha, is that it's the fool who is not willing to ask and look silly that will never get, right? That is the bigger fool. So everybody appreciates the human nature. So if you're helping someone, don't, first of all, the first thing I need you to reframe in your mind is that you're asking for something. You're not. You're offering assistance and help. So if you're serving out of love, trust, and respect, then once you've helped someone, it was very obvious to them that you not only did a good job, they did business with you. Remember, they trusted you with their social security number. They trusted you with their bank account routing info. They trusted you with their kids' names and their beneficiary. Why would they not give you their brother's phone number, who also has kids and a wife and a mortgage and is a fireman? Okay. Why are you seeing it as though you're bothering with someone? So first thing I would ask all of you to do, and to be good with our time here, is reframe with your mind, and suppose instead of bothering them or asking, or oh, I don't want to ruin the sale I just made, because if I ask for too much they're going to think I'm too desperate, or I need too much from them. What I would argue is that you're not asking for anything, you're offering service to help them, because they already think you did a good job for them. So pat yourself on the back because you already did a great job, because they trusted you enough with all that information. So if you think I'm not the kind of person that's qualified to get after sale referrals, remember, there's nothing special about Jesse Backrack. You all are, this is the requirement to get ASRs. Make a sale. That's the requirement. If you've made your first enrollment ever, you are now qualified to get after sale referrals. So congratulations. Everybody on the sale is qualified to get them. So now, what do we say? What I do is, once I wrap up the appointment and I'm sitting there and I get them enrolled, or I say, hey, the next steps are we're going to wait to hear back from the carriers, or congratulations, we got you approved. The policy is not only approved, it's going to be issued, and it's in your email right now waiting for you. Now that we got your family all taken care of, who's the most important person that you could think of that would benefit from a meeting like we just had? And I look down, I don't lift my head up again until they give me someone. And if they go, oh, yeah, we want to talk to our people first. Hey, I completely understand. You don't want people feeling like solicited. That's why they appreciate the way I approach them. Who's the most important person, right? So I just keep giving it back. Oh, I'd rather talk to them first. Actually, Joe, that's a great idea. I'm actually going to need you to talk to them first, because I want them to recognize that when they see a 516 number from Long Island calling them, that they're going to answer my phone call. So what was your brother, you said, lived in the neighborhood? What's your brother's phone number? I start like that. I start with the beneficiary, or I ask, didn't you say your brother-in-law, he lives in town? Yeah, let's start with him. He's got kids, right? Okay, is he married or single? How many kids do they have? Oh, they're grown kids? They're grown already? Okay, great. And what's the phone number? And what's his wife's name? Okay, and their nickname is what? Nene? You call him Nene? Okay, so if I say Nene, they're gonna be like, who's on my phone? Who's calling me? Right? Like, you want to distinguish yourself. Not the most important thing, but it helps. Now, what there really is power in is getting their whole family. And then when you start calling those referrals, you'd be like, yeah, I already met with George and Alyssa. I'm actually going to talk with your cousin Mike later today. And when you start naming their family members, there's power in that. What do you think? They're not going to meet with you? You met with grandma, their neighbor, their brother, and their cousin. You think they're not going to meet with you? Even if they don't know you, they respect Joe and Sandra, right? They respect them, so they'll meet with you. And that's all you need. You'll uncover the need there. So what I would do is just start asking those questions. And if they go, we really don't have a lot of people, I go, great, quality over quantity, right? I keep my circle real small too. I don't want everybody in your phone book. I just want the people you care about most. Who's the most important to you? Who just got married? Who just had a baby? Who's about to retire? I ask in 3 different ways. I let them reject me 3 times before they give me anyone. Now, some people will just start giving you people because they think you're lovely and they think you're wonderful and all that. Some people think you're wonderful and they're just guarded and they don't want to give out numbers because that didn't work out so well last time, right? Don't take it personally. This has nothing to do with you. Take your ego out of it. They already love you. They already did business with you. So remove your ego out of the situation and just ask the question. And if they go, oh, I don't feel comfortable. Hey, that's great. I don't want to be treated like a telemarketer. Make sure you give them my number, but I'm going to get their number from you now because my schedule fills up real quick. And I just want to make sure I'm even available for them. What's that number again? And then I look down and I don't look up until I get it. So there are lots of ways to request and ask for referrals. The truth is, guys, it doesn't even matter what you say or how you ask. You just got to keep asking the question. And even when they shut you down once or twice, be like, no, I completely understand. But who's just had a baby? Who would really need this? What about people at your job that maybe also didn't get this letter mailed to their house for mortgage protection, that also has a house, but they didn't get this letter from the bank? They will think of people. I ask three different ways because the mind gets primed by different things, by different people. And one thing you say might trigger that one person. So there's no perfect script. There's no silver bullet. There's no one perfect thing to say. It's just consistently doing it every single meeting, no matter how many times you get told no, you ask in every single appointment. And you ask more than once because you know in your heart that you're only there to serve their spheres of influence. And if you did a good job with them, you're going to do a good job with the rest of their family. They know that. So I'm going to send a video, and Joe has the video that you can share. It goes over different ways to ask and makes it fun. And the dog is sitting on my lap and it's fun, right? And the video is even a few years old, but it's perfectly relevant if your guys are running Zoom appointments. What I'd rather do for the last minute that we have here is what to say when you call them. And I also have this script and I'll send it to you, Joe. So what do you say when you call a family that's not even expecting your phone call, even if their brother swore on a stack of Bibles that he's going to call them as soon as the meeting got over? Remember, they have kids. They got to put them to sleep, get them ready for school the next day. They're human beings too. They forget. So even if he swore on a stack of Bibles, I'm going to call my brother and tell him you're going to call him. It doesn't matter. They forgot. 90% of the time, it doesn't matter what they promised. They forgot. So you're going to go into that phone call expecting that they have no idea who you are and they have not been primed. Fair enough, everyone? Right? We're going into the call expecting, because guess what? If Joe did his job and told heirs in Sicily that I was going to call and they answered and they already know why, I don't got to explain shit and the meeting is going to be cake. It's done. It's already, okay, great. So when's better for you, Wednesday or Thursday? At 7 o'clock. I got both. It's done already. So we don't even need to go over if they already knew. Oh yeah, they told us. And we're interested or we're not interested. Thank you. That's easy. When they're not expecting your call, this is the script. And I have to remind myself, it's ring, ring. Yes, hello, Joe. Hello. Yeah. Hi, Joe. This is Jesse Backrack. I'm giving you a call on behalf of heirs in Sicily Newsom. Did they tell you that I'm going to give you a call? No? Uh-oh, they're in big trouble. Do me a favor, Joe. When we get off the phone, do me a favor. Can you call heirs in Sicily or whenever you speak to them next and just let them know that Jesse Backrack called so they know I kept my promise to them? Now, Joe still has no freaking idea why I'm calling. But I'm asking him to do something. And guys, this is about taking control, taking power. All of a sudden, they have no idea who I am, but they're like, okay, yeah, no problem. What is this all about? Right? That's the first question they're going to ask you. What's this all about? You know what? I was actually able to sit with Joe and Sandra, about last week on Wednesday. They requested some mortgage protection. We were able to get them options and get them covered for mortgage protection. We discussed life insurance. I even showed them how to get all their money back at the end, tax-free when they don't die, and like a savings account. And they appreciated the way I went over everything with them so much and the transparency that once we got them all taken care of, I asked them who the most important person was to them. They only gave me three people, but you were the first person that he gave me. You and your wife. So I just wanted to let you guys know I'm happy to answer any questions you have around mortgage protection, college savings, life insurance, and just make sure whatever you need, your family's protected too. So I have an appointment tomorrow. I got a 5 and a 7 o'clock. Which one's going to be better for you and Sandra? How smooth was that? Like, did that seem effortless? Right? And all you have to do is just breathe in the oxygen and ask the questions. Like, just ask the question, just say the words, and you'll be shocked at the results that you'll get. And what I would encourage you to do is don't just try it one time and then say it doesn't work and give up. Because I have so much data to show you to prove that that is not the case. You just have to go into your next house and ask the same question. And some will give you 9 referrals, and all of them will be bad phone numbers, disconnected, not interested, no thank yous. And some will give you 2 referrals. Both of them will be a sale, and they'll give you 5 each that lead to 10 more sales. So I just want you to go into this and ask for referrals with the excitement of like when you were a child and you know that you were going on a field trip at school that day, and you knew that day was going to be different and special because it wasn't a typical day of sitting at your desk in the classroom. You woke up that day and you were like dressed before the bus even came. Like you were dressed before your mom even woke you up for school that day because you were so excited about what could potentially happen on that field trip because you knew something was going to be different. I want you to look at this after sale referral process the same way. Be excited for your appointments. Oh, I can't wait to run the mortgage protection appointment. I'm going to enroll a family and I'm going to get 5 referrals. Because if you look at every lead as though they're 5 leads, and that's how really you look at it, you're going to start looking at leads as though they're 25 leads. And you're going to start valuing them more, and you're going to increase your profitability because all it takes is 2 referral sales a month to pay for your entire lead cost for the entire month for your business. 2 enrollments, because guess what? With after sale referrals, we could talk about this another time, but the case sizes are larger. They have a higher persistency to stay on the books because when you sign up someone's entire family, they're not going to be the embarrassing one of the family that looks bad because they canceled the policy 2 months later, or the first bad negative charge that had drafted their bank account. There's social accountability in place. So after sale referrals are really going to be your key, guys, to profitability and just increasing your effectiveness in people and their spheres of influence. And you're going to feel like you're doing more good.
So good, buddy. So good. We'll get the scripts out and we'll post them on band for all of y'all,
Yes, sir.
and the video as well. Jesse, thank you. Everyone in the chat before we get off, y'all just give them a big thank you. Dude, I appreciate you so much.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Now I'm excited. I got 11 appointments today, Jesse. I am going to text you how many referrals I get, buddy.
Yeah, and don't be discouraged. What happens in one home is not indicative of what's going to happen in the next home. So all you got to do is just keep asking, keep going, keep moving, keep operating out of love, trust, and respect, and keep helping those spheres of influence of the people that you're serving. And you're going to see not only is it going to change your business, but it's going to change your life, and you're going to love the person that you're becoming in the process.
Love it. Thank you, buddy.